All right, the disclaimer is run. Its course, you have been warned. This is for educational and instructional purposes only, but let's be, you know, realistic that this is trading. There is risk involved. If you do not want to risk, if you want a sure thing, I would say look elsewhere. So let's go ahead and get started with our FX and crypto trading today. Just so I can kind of get to know my crowd. If you don't mind, please just type it in the chat. What do you primarily trade? Do you trade crypto more? Do you trade Forex more? Do you trade something else more? Whatever the case is, I would really appreciate if you can type it in the chat as we're getting started with the session today. I'm going to go through how I typically trade these instruments. If you've joined me before, you probably might be familiar with it, but for anybody that's joining me that's fairly new, this will be a bit of a, perhaps different way to look at the markets. In my opinion, it's a way that gave me clarity myself in my trading. It is a way to essentially keep things kind of simple, but at the same time, very black or white. There's no in between. There's no okay. So we got some futures traders, we got some forex traders. Great, awesome. Thank you, SB. Thank you, Ramon. Appreciate you typing. I feel that most of the time folks just kind of sit there and watch. They don't really, they're either afraid to say something or they don't want to say anything. So it's really up to you and completely open to you. I myself, when I was struggling with my trading, I reached out to, people for help, and that's kind of how it got me started to get things on the right track. So just some food for thought that I wanted to share with you. So the first thing that we're going to look at, and then maybe you see something that's different that you maybe don't have on your charts, is the fact that I have these auto UFOs, these flying saucer looking things on my chart, both on this one and also on this chart right here. And on top of that, I also have something else down here below. So these are our instruments. This is our proprietary and patented technology that we utilize for trading. Down below here is the auto climate. Up here above are the auto UFOs. This is a technology that we utilize for trading. It gives us potential entries and exits based on what the current climate is giving us. And of course, there's something else here that's very common, which is the 9 EMA. But I'm going to go through the exact, setup of how and what we look for when it comes to this stuff. And then if you are interested in more, if you want to just learn how we completely use it, you can go to the link that I will share right now as well. And just another quick little snippet. I will be presenting a crypto course on July 9th through the 15th. So if you are interested in learning more about crypto, we'll be starting essentially from zero to how to trade. So if you are interested, that is also available in the link that I just shared, which is tradewithufos.com /Bojan. I'll share here, tradewithufos.com /Bojan. All right, so that's the link there. I also shared it in the chat. All right, now that we got that behind us, let's get some trading in today. How about that? All right, so we have some futures and forex traders. Interestingly enough, just to share with you from yesterday, SB, we had a same kind of concept utilizing a different platform. 60-minute setup on the S&P 500. Ended up catching that rip to the upside. Got T1 here. I'm sorry, T2 here, and T1 was right up here at the Globex high for about I think it was 1095. This was yesterday at the open. And then at the same time, we had a trade running on silver to the short side, set up right there, ended up hitting not just T1 but T2 within the same day, which is is rare. Okay, I don't want to, tell you that this is what you'll be hitting every day of the week. As a matter of fact, most of the time we're gonna be hitting a T1 with a trail stop or a break even. But these are the trades that will typically, make your week. With two contracts, 1825. Okay, so that's the type of stuff that we'll be looking to do, both with Forex and with crypto here. So far, nobody else has typed whether you trade futures or Forex, or maybe you're just starting up and you're not sure what you want to trade. Feel free to share that in the chat. I'm really just curious to see, the crowd we have in front of us. In the meantime, while you're thinking if you should do that, okay, Luca, futures and Forex, good stuff. Yep. So let's go ahead and get started with the how we trade with the UFOs and auto climate. Now, this is, there's, tweaks and adjustments that you can make to all of this, right? That's not uncommon. But before you do any of that, back test the heck out of it, okay? Because if you don't, you're really just shooting yourself in the foot. All right. First things first, we always look at the auto climate on this larger time frame chart. On TradingView, this is our larger time frame. We've varied this between a 1 day, a 4 hour, or a 1 hour. Okay, so these are our larger time frames that will typically be, just trying to get this connected there, that will be typically on this right hand side. Okay, daily, 4 hour, hourly. I would think those are very, very common time frames for traders. It's nothing unheard of. What we do a little different is we use these edge time frames, as we call them, the 8-minute, the 21-minute, and the 55-minute time frames on our left-hand side. Okay, so the way we combine it is the following. The 55-minute goes with the daily, and I like to do this kind of in different colors so it's easier to understand, because that's just the way that TradingView writes it, shows it here. 21-minute goes with the 4 hour, and the 8-minute goes with the 1 hour time frame. Okay, I've stopped utilizing these just because there was just too much noise. I just got to remove them from my favorites. So again, 8-minute goes with the hourly, 21-minute goes with the 4 hour, and the 55-minute goes with the daily. Now, all of these on top of that happen to be, well, not happen to be, but they are Fibonacci numbers. On top of that, our modification, our sensitivity level on our auto UFOs is also a Fibonacci number. This is adjustable to your liking. This is just what I've used as a standard throughout my trading career, let's call it. What we do and how we trade this is the following. On this larger time frame, we need a confirmation on the climate. I'm going to zoom in here. This is what the climate window looks like down here. You see there's some writing here. It says STD up. There's an up pointing arrow. And then STD down. All right, that just means standard deviation. So for how many periods of this chart does this instrument go down for? It goes up for 5, and it also happens to go down for 5. We always round this up. Okay? Once we get that and we have a confirmation, we see that we're on the first down climate, currently in the first down climate out of typically 5. So this also gives you some clarity about trend, right? Something that you guys may be more used to and more comfortable with is the trend. Well, we put the trend in a very, statistical element here. We know where it begins. We know where it typically ends. Doesn't mean that it will, but where it typically ends. And if it's past the point where it typically ends, we're not going to trade it. Simple as that. So that way we avoid that common saying of, the trend is your friend until the bend in the end, right? If you have heard of that one, when I first heard of it, I was like, haha, that's funny, but how do I put that on a chart, right? How do I trade that? Now that's a great saying, but what are you telling me, right? You're telling me follow the trend, but then it'll bend in the end, and I don't know what does that mean? Like, is this the end, right? Was this the end? Or was this the end? Like, how far do I go? What do I look at? There was just so many gray areas, so many questions. And I just really hated that fact that it was so ambiguous that, anybody could say, okay, so is this an uptrend or like this? So is this an uptrend or a downtrend, guys? Well, okay, what about now? So I really just did not like that part. This part gave so much clarity to my trading that I am just beyond thankful to have been exposed to it. So now that we know that the trend slash I don't even use the word trend anymore. I use the word climate. Now that we know the climate is to the downside, there's a statistical advantage to looking for shorting opportunities. Okay, great. Now where do we get it on those opportunities? Well, we utilize the 9 exponential moving average, a very common moving average that's used everywhere when it comes to these trading. Now, the reason why we use exponential is just a little bit more sensitive to price than the regular moving average. This is available on pretty much every platform charting software out there, so it's not something that is uncommon. This 9 EMA that you see here gives us a value here of 105.38, right? So 105.38 is where the current value of the moving average is. Now, we take this value, 105.38, and we try to find a UFO on this chart right here. So we take this value and we try to find a UFO somewhere here. So for example, 105.382, right? So the moving average would probably look something like this. All right. So this is approximately 105.38, right? That's to the best of my ability to draw this. Now, what we would have wanted to see is something like this, right? Something like this, maybe here. We obviously don't have that here, but I'm just drawing it for the sake of, this example. So if it was something like this, where we had a UFO right in this location, right? And let's say, I'll just draw price in purple. Let's say price just kind of dilly-dallies and then shoots up here, right? The moving average is going to move along with price, however it's moving, and boom. Price and the moving average will meet right here, which means that's our trade. That's our entry. Okay? We're trying to get the 9 exponential moving average on the common time frame to be enveloped by a UFO on the edge time frame. All right? So that's our setup, that's our plan, that's our thought process behind all of this. Obviously, right now we do not have this UFO that we drew there, right? So what do? Well, let's cycle through the other time frames and see what we're looking at. All right. Now, a little disclaimer here. TradingView counts these as well. The unconfirmed climates, you see how these are thin? These are thin dots. Doesn't matter what color they are. If they are thin dots, they are unconfirmed climates. That means we're not going to trade them. Simple as that. So right now we see that we're on the 4th 4-hour, right? This is the 4-hour chart now that I switched to. We're on the 4th 4-hour out of typically 6. So that means we still have 2 4-hour candles to go through, right? This one actually just started, so we have 3 hours, 43 minutes on this one, plus another 2 more to make this trade work. So let's see if we have a trade here. Current moving average is at 105.262. Okay, 105.262 is somewhere around here, which means we do not have a UFO. All right, and look, just like that, we now eliminated the next potential setup, which was on the 4-hour. So let's go down to the hourly and the 8-minute and see how that's looking right now. All right, moving average is at 105.15. 105.15 right here, right around current price. No UFO there as well. Boom, we just finished analyzing the Euro USD on 3 different potential setups in the inside of a minute. Okay, so that's the, and on top of that, I just realized that the climate is unconfirmed, so I just wasted like 10 seconds of that. But the climate's unconfirmed, we're not trading this. So what do? We look for opportunities elsewhere, come back to this maybe in 4 hours to see if there's any changes. Or you could set up, if there is a potential entry that might be nearby, you can set up an alert so it can alert you anytime the price crosses there. There's so many options that you can utilize technology to automate a portion of your trading. You could fully automate it if you got into some coding and did some fun things like that. But until then, at least partially automating this, I would say, is beneficial to everybody. What are your guys' thought process? What do you think right now? Is this something you've seen before? If you've been here with me before, let me know. If not, and you're brand new to this, let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about it. Be as honest to yourself and to me as you can. I appreciate that much more than, yes, okay. All right. In the meantime, let's see if we got any trades elsewhere. Okay, looks like we might have one here on the Aussie dollar. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the same exact thing. We may have a trade, we might not, we don't know. All right, so here we go. Currently, we're on the 8th day down on the Aussie dollar out of typically 5. Okay, so that means we have less of a probability for this trade to work. Can it work? Absolutely. Can these markets run for extended periods of time past their typical sensible point? Yes, they can. Right, as you see right here, this market started from here, running up to here. Okay, an up climate was detected and used from there, and it went up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 days out of typically, let's see, what is that typical value here? Typically 6. So it went almost 3 times that. Now, is that going to happen every time? Absolutely not, right? Could you potentially get up early on a climate and ride it all the way to the end? You sure can. Matter of fact, that's the part of the trading management that we'll be getting into right now. So let's go ahead and go down to a 4-hour to a 21-minute. All right, 6 out of 7 technically tradable. So that means we have this full increment of this candle to finish up on, but we have no UFOs nearby. Let's go down 8-minute to hourly. Okay, this is the first one out of typically 7. This is much, much better, right? The first hourly down climate out of typically 7. Now, do we have a potential trade? 68.87. Currently prices at 68.83, and no, we do not. The nearest UFO would be up here, 69.04, and that's just too far. Price is going to, if price were to bounce right now, the moving average would probably meet with this somewhere around the 68.90 area. Because remember, the moving average moves, right? A lot of times people might forget that. So that's that for the Aussie as well. If there's any requests, please feel free to type them in the chat. In the meantime, I'm just going to go through the majors and, see if we can find a potential setup. All right. The next one that we have here is the CAD unconfirmed climate, immediately switching to the 4-hour, first confirmed 4-hour out of typically 5, which is great. Again, I'm always rounding up. I know 4.4 technically rounded down, technically rounded is 4, but we always want to give climates as much time as we need to. So even if this was 4.1, right? Even if this said 4.1, we would always round that up to a 5. All right. So just some, clarity there for everybody. Okay. So right now, moving average is at 28.66. Current price is at 28.6. And it looks like we do have a trade. As a matter of fact, right here. Oh boy. The only disadvantage is if we take this trade, our stop is going to be within this UFO. So then we have to, our stop will essentially have to be all the way up here above 292. And I'm just not okay with putting trades for that much risk for a T1, a 1-to-1, which I will show to you in just a minute once we actually find a setup. So nothing to do there as well. All right. Now here we may have something a little bit better. Currently on the third one, out of typically 7, which is great. Third one out of typically 7, down climate 1.28656. 1.28656. Okay, so this UFO starts at 2868. Do we see this going up to 68 to get in on this trade? Well, it's close. It's close enough to the point where we may see it touch that 65 before it gets to 68, given where price is right now. Yeah, it's fairly close. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up. We'll put a disclaimer there though. If price has not quite touched the moving average, we're gonna go ahead and cancel it. And also, this is such a small risk trade that we're gonna put on that okay, that we're not even gonna care about it too much. So let's go ahead and put it on. Our entry will be at 1.2868. Right there, there's no rounding required, no nothing. And let's take a look at this real quick. Something that I always like to have handy. Yeah, so when we're selling, yeah, we're always going to round it down for entry because remember, Forex is a decentralized market. Not everybody has the same exact price. There's always variation in pips and spreads and so on. All right. We're going to be risking 150 per leg. Now, my first setup here, the top of that UFO is 1.28708. We're going to round it up at 71, and we're going to add 7 pips. Okay, so our first setup here is 10 pips up, 10 pips down. Time in force I always like to use because obviously this is a short-term trade, right? It's on the hourly. This is the third one out of typically 7, so that means we have 4 hours to let this trade run. 4 hours would be at 10:45, let's call it. Today, no, yeah, today. All right, so sell that. And that's our stop. Now we're going to do the same thing on the second leg. And we may need to get on this at market. It's 2868. Stop loss remains the same. Our final target will be the first opposing UFO on this large time frame, on the common time frame. 205. We round it up at 6. And we add 2 pips just in case, because again, markets are not They're not centralized on this, and we're going to, I'm just gonna change this a little bit, otherwise it takes it off completely. So my second leg, trading view is sometimes funky like that. Okay, so this is the trade setup right there. Something that I like doing just to kind of keep things clear is to also throw on a vertical line. All right, so we're filled a vertical line of where we were looking at, what we were looking at, and take a screenshot. All right. Problem is our UFO disappeared there, so I'm just gonna draw it on here because obviously we did have a UFO here that we got in on. I think it was at 7. So this was our UFO was right here. And I'm just going to take this screenshot because, again, documentation is key. 2022, 0629. And this is the USD CAD 8-minute setup. Well, rather, sorry, the hourly setup, 1 hour setup. Okay, and that's the trade. It's in. Nothing unusual about it. Of course, with Forex, you're always kind of starting in the negative because of fees. But ultimately, if you're right and it turns out to be right, it gets to your T1. Even though I did all that, it still canceled out my T1. It's unbelievable. I've spoken to TradingView so many times about this stuff, and they still haven't been, they still haven't put it where you can put your, a double-legged on the same instrument, a double-leg trade on the same instrument. So I'm going to set an alert if price gets here to alert me so I can close half the position around there. I don't believe, it's not going to show. That's not. Okay, so we're gonna have to kind of watch this. Essentially, if it does shoot down, we're gonna need to close half this position. If you did it on MT4, this is extremely easy to do. If you did it on MT4 on your phone, this is extremely easy to do. But essentially, if and when this prints plus 150, you close. Well, actually, plus 300, you close half the position at market because, or actually, if you did it on MT4, you're already fine. But if you did it like me on TradingView, then and it canceled out your first leg, then we're you have to close it manually. All right, so that's that for this one. Let's see what else we got going on. Anybody requesting anything as far as Forex or crypto? Bitcoin seems to be heading lower and lower. Currently down for 23 hours out of typically 6. That's fun to see. Euro USD. We already looked at Euro USD. So there wasn't anything there for us from the majors. Oh, did it? Okay, that's that. Stop out. Take a screenshot. Save. 2022 0629 USD CAD 1 hour exit. Stop loss negative 300. Save that. Okay, and as you see, because this is the auto climate does adjust to the movement of the market. It is currently an unconfirmed climate, so it was confirmed when we were getting in, and now after this movement, it is no longer a confirmed down climate. Therefore, we're good to go to look at something else. All right. Check out the dollar Swiss franc. Let's go on the daily, 55-minute. Okay, quite the bounce there, 96, 160. That's not going to be anything that we'll be able to execute on either this session or who knows, maybe even next one. Okay, something like this, 0.955. Second down out of typically 5, which is good. 95523. No UFOs nearby. Unfortunately, nothing to do there. The 8-minute confirmed 6 out of, currently on the 6th one out of 5. Give me just 1 second, folks. All right, we're back. So, yep, nothing to do on this one as well. Let's check out the dollar yen. So the dollar yen in an up climate, 5th one out of typically 10. So currently the moving average is at 136.46, and 136.46 is within this UFO here. However, if price were to actually, come back down, the moving average, which is, here currently, is also going to shoot down. So the question is, will they meet potentially in this UFO here, right? Is this the one that they'll meet at? It is, not clear as of right now because it's pretty far. So let's go to the 4-hour and see if there's anything different. Same thing, too far. Same thing, too far. Okay, so I think the only one we didn't look at were these couple ones. The New Zealand dollar, also overextended on the climate. Overextended on the climate. First one out of typically 7. There we go. Let's take a look at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar currency pair. Price is at 62.29. 62.29. Right above this UFO. Right above it. So no trade there either. Yep. No trade there either. And you know what? Our job as traders is really to say no more than we say yes, because we do need to be picky with our entries. All of these are just too far. So nothing to do there. So let's go ahead and look at some crypto, because all the major pairs, all the major currency pairs are just not anywhere near right now. Let's take a look at the 4-hour on Bitcoin with the 21-minute. A lot of consolidation in this area here on Bitcoin around this 20,000 area. Not uncommon, given the fact that it is a crucial price level, 20,000. No UFOs though on here. They're all up above here at 25.85. Ethereum, okay, 1146. As you see here, the moving average is at 1146, and this UFO ends at 1142. Nothing to do there as well. Let's take a look at the hourly. 1121, 1122, and no UFO around that area either. Sometimes it's like you open a chart and it boom, it's right there, and sometimes you just have to, keep looking, and then reset. Unfortunately, that's the name of the game. Sometimes it's right there in front of you, and sometimes you have to look for it. Okay, so overextended. Let's take a look at XRP. Same kind of scenario. Sometimes there will be variation, but most of the time it'll be same type of scenario. Okay, looking at Axie next. Okay, on the daily with the 55. Okay, 1547. Okay, double stacked UFOs, right? So if we got in here at 1519, our stop would need to be all the way up here at 16,985 and above. That's just, a lot of risk to be taken for a trade. But, it is also adjustable what you want to risk. So the amount of, especially if you're trading this on leverage. Yeah, Yahya, UFO indicator is not native to TradingView. If you do want it, you can go to here, tradewithufos.com/Bojan to get it. Okay, it's not letting me send it. I'm going to share it in the chat here. It's not native to TradingView. It's not a native indicator to TradingView. You have to, it's a by invite only type of indicator. And it's also a proprietary and patented technology that we utilize. So let's set this up right now. It's not a trade that is, I'm gonna take half the risk. Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna take half the risk on this one. So I'll go in at 1519. Our stop loss is going to be at 1684 is the top of the UFO. I typically add 20 cents, so that's going to be at 1704. Okay. And I'm only going to be risking $75. And this will be good for a week. All right, so sell that. Okay. And now the second leg, I'm also going to set up a little, it's going to be pretty much the same thing, except it'll have different prices because I don't want TradingView to just cancel out my order. So my final target is going to be all the way down at 638 plus 2 cents of 640. That's the first opposing UFO in this large time frame, right? The daily. The first opposing UFO, which is all the way down here at $6. Now, I'm gonna just kind of qualify that and say that it's not exactly what we're going for here. 3. Risking 75. Selling. Other way around. What am I doing? 6.38. There we go. I'm like, what is it talking about? All right. So 15, 18. The reason why I'm setting them separately because I just don't want them to disappear. Okay. And that's our setup there. So I'm just going to throw on my horizontal line here. Not ray. I need a horizontal line, vertical line rather, here, and also one here. That this, and the reason why I do these vertical lines is, I'll take this screenshot and I'll save it. But I also want to know at what exact candle were we looking to get in on this, right? So this is Axie USDT This is the 2022 0629 Axie USDT daily setup. Okay, so that's that one. So, we had a quick in and out trade on, I already forgot what it was on. We had a quick trade on USD CAD, ended up stopping us out. That's okay, that's part of the game, nothing unusual. Obviously climate change, so it's all good. And we have a setup on Axie. Typically, I find multiple setups when we have these sessions. It's just happened to be the day that, we don't have a whole lot in front of us. So, that's what it is. If there is any questions, if there is any comments, please feel free to reach out to me. My email I'll share right there in the chat box, bojan@tradictive.com. And I will catch you next time. Thank you so much, folks. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care.